Very soon, I will be asking some questions to Defukboom, and if you want to ask a question too, post your question below this video, and if your question gets a lot of likes, I'll ask it to him. The first part of episode 77 just came out, and as it turned out, it didn't have a big epic in it, which is not surprising, because the part is only the introductory part. But even thanks to the small amount of what happened during this episode, we can already assume what can happen in the second part, and not only. As you have already realized, in today's video, we will talk about the near future of the plot and the most likely chronological order in the events of the future second part of 77 episode. I recommend you to watch this video from the beginning to the end, because today we will learn at what moment the improved G-Titan will appear and whether he will appear at all in this episode. What enemies the United G Squad together with the Cameraman Squad will have to face, when the Titans will meet the improved G-Titan, and many other things that may be open for you. And if you've already liked it, here we go. Perhaps in order to at least somehow be able to imagine what might happen in the second part, we need to remember the whole current framework, namely the main events of the first part. For the first time in a long time, we finally got to see the G Squad again, and not even a regular one, but one improved with the help of Toilet technology. Back in episode 75, we saw Skibidi Toilets stealing Toilet technology, and hybrids were not spared from this situation. Well, the presence of the J Squad may already mean that there is a J-Man himself nearby. After all, from the confirmed arguments based on the past, his squad is mostly near or relatively close to him. As for G-Man himself, I can confidently say that we will meet him in the second part. Everything is quite simple to explain. If in the first and second parts will not be epic, and in the third and fourth will be, then it means that all the necessary characters important for the plot of the episode will have time to gather up to this point before the main battle. And so it is in the second part. Whether we will see G-Titan or G-Man 4.0 is a complicated question, but once we understand it, we can find an answer to it too. As we remember, in the first part, we saw the G-Squad, but there was no Kleiner in it, namely the scientist. This can be explained by two reasons. Either he simply did not appear because he is not a combat unit, or he is engaged in the creation of G-Titan. Both are equally likely, but I'm still leaning towards the latter. If you go back in time and remember what happened in episode 74, you can also see Kleiner standing on the barrel of the G-Man, and at that moment the G-Man was in pretty serious condition. This most likely means that G-Squad started creating G-Titan back at that very moment. We can't determine how much time has passed since that moment because the previous episodes are not in direct chronological order, but if that moment was relatively long ago, then the G-Titan has a great chance of appearing in the present time. Will we meet the Titans? The question, even though it seems obvious, but there is not much to say about it, for there is not much information. As we all know, episode 77 should prove to be crucial in forging an alliance between the Alliance and the Skibidi Toilets. If that's the case, this situation won't be without the Titans, but even if the Titans are present in the episode, they should have a very good reason to join the Alliance along with the G-Man. Basically, there could be two reasons here. Either a general threat in terms of Toilets coming to the scene, or a rescue of Titan Cameraman on behalf of G-Titan, which would give Tivman Titan a compelling reason to join the Alliance. Most importantly, which of these options could still happen in part 2? We can argue and argue forever, but we still can't know the result now because the options are limited not on 2, and even there is a possibility that all this will happen simultaneously, namely, the rescue of Titan Cameraman combined with the battle of two Titans, together with G-Titan against Toilets. After all, episode 77 was named one of the best episodes by Defuk, and an episode named the best can hardly do without major battles. But in the second part, we are unlikely to meet her, so the conversation will not be about that. With the characters we were able to deal with, and I think there is no doubt that the 77th episode will be rich in a large number of important or strong characters. But the word important is much more interesting. Thanks to information from the foreign YouTuber Elite Cameraman, we know that in the 77th series will appear an important character for the plot, and everything is much more complicated than it seems. We can't say for sure if he will appear in Part 2 or not, but his arrival can't be devalued. The most important question is whether he was talking about the secret agent or a new character. In the case of the first option means that he will show himself again in full form, as in the long-ago 70th episode, and perhaps his appearance will not be without death. But if it says about the second option, namely the appearance of a new, very important character, then our horizons are greatly increased, because here we can mean both a character who plays an important role from the shadows, like the secret agent, and an ordinary, or rather, to say in material terms, a character, but which will be a new one. If we have sorted out the characters and their roles, let's talk about the chronology of events in the second part. The most possible options, in my opinion, are only two, so I will tell you about them. But let me remind you that this is just my opinion, and I can't convince you of anything. In the case of the first variant, everything starts the same way as the first part ended. G-Squad, together with Cameraman Squad, unite, and of course discover new opponents in the form of Astro Toilets. If we remember the past Big Battles episodes, for example, 57th or 67th, then in the moment of appearance of some strong enemy, for example, a particularly large Astro Toilet, a strong positive character will have to appear, in our case a G-Man, or, already at this moment, a G-Titan. This can be argued by two facts. First of all, G-Man at the moment understands better than others that the Alliance and Skibidi Toilets need to unite, and it is unlikely that there will be someone else besides him, especially if he is already around. More precisely, the presence of G-Squad means the presence of G-Man as well. Secondly, it's his arc, or more simply, his reveal as a character. Lately, since 71 episodes, he has been meeting more opponents and revealing himself, and we were even able to partially show his past, as he was a commander and was a representative of the Astro Toilet race, so it can be explained why he will have to show the possibilities of his new body at last. In case G-Man himself appears in the series, and the series is connected with the beginning of the official alliance, then one of the Titans will also appear in the series, and the only Titan who can come and is in a fighting state is Tavaman Titan. With his appearance, everything can be more complicated, but in the end, everything will turn out the same. His initial goal will be to kill G-Man, but with the appearance of common enemies in the face of Astro Toilets, everything will change, and they will be preparing for a battle with them, where the second part ends. The second variant is more complicated, and the chronology of events can be quite different, but basically everything will be the same, because its peculiarity is in another way. Instead of opponents, or the beginning of some battles, G-Squad, together with Cameraman, meet surviving Titan Cameraman, which will be a shock for them to say the least. He, in turn, of course, must face new but weak opponents. Having coped with them, Titan Cameraman meets at this point a stronger and more prepared squad, or the Astro Toilet Elite. If they outnumber his forces, a G-Titan will arrive on the scene at this point to assist the Titan in forming an officious alliance. Let's remember that he's supposed to be nearby after all, so this could be very likely. The chronology of events in this variant, as I said, can be very different, but for the sake of presentation, I can provide a few possible options. Still, to create an alliance, one Titan is not enough, so it is very possible that in the second part will be present and Titan T-Man. But everything that may happen next will not play a big role, because anything can happen, but it will not affect the final outcome of the second part. As usual, more powerful Astro Toilets will arrive, and the second part will be over. In the end, I want to say that the second part of the 77th episode will not contain a lot of epic, but it will familiarize us with the characters in the episode and should prepare us for the epic. On that happy note, this video ends. If you've watched it up to this point, I recommend subscribing to the channel so you won't miss anything important in the future. Well, that's all for now. With you as always, Super Cameraman. Good luck and bye-bye.